is renewed by the word of God on the word segment.
And not forgetting new music za hii wiki, yani ndakuwa bado nawapatia pale wasanii wamekuwa kiwakali. So make sure manzo tune in because zitakuwa zina flow pia pale mixes kwa wingi, yani zitakuwa zina come through, and pia performance yani from our gospel artist hapa on Gospel Art
from 7 to
10 a.m. only on KUTV.
Technology, science, innovation, ICT and research. These are the ingredients upon which the solutions to the 21st century problems are founded. In a world that is rapidly changing, it's all hands on deck to ensure a balance in all fields of life. Women, young and old, are also in the front line, breaking the glass ceiling, becoming thought leaders in the larger tech space. Not forgetting other societies marginalized. And when the tech Avengers come together, we inch closer to a much safer, efficient and sustainable world. What we view as a norm in today's advanced world was just an idea, and for nostalgic reasons, we trace back the iconic days to bring you the retro tech. On Tech Innovation Show, we encapsulate all the pillars of the fourth industrial revolution, decoded in a language, all for one for all. Every Monday at 8:30 as we push the mantra, keep learning something new each and every day. Only on KUTV, a new experience.
I remember back in university, trying to start a business was a loss-making venture. You either don't know exactly how the dynamics of the business economy work, or you have no capital actually at all. Between your Fuliza, pocket money, and Mshwari, there's little left for you to try and start any sort of business that will be profitable for you. There's also that issue of trying to balance studies and pleasing your folks, if that's who is sponsoring your academic journey, versus also pursuing your own personal interests. So how do you sort of create a balance where you can be successful in all of these areas? Or even, I don't know, according to my guests here, they would prefer you be more successful in business than academics, but we'll get to hear more about that from who I have invited here. They are both founders and CEOs. Earlier, I thought they're co-CEOs actually, but they're two different CEOs, so I don't know if there's an issue of power here, but we'll get to hear from them how that feels like. Antone, Orwa, Antone or Anton, he'll get to tell us that more himself. He's the Chief Executive Officer and founder of NetGenix Tech Icons. He's joined here on the show with Raul Nyabole, who's also a Chief Executive Officer and founder of TSN Branding Experience. Welcome to the show, guys. I'm glad to have you here. I think I'll start from here, Raul, and then we'll go around the table while we also, take that discussion all around. Welcome to the show, first of all. How are you feeling? How's the year so far?
I feel so great.
Yeah.
Nasikia poa sijui ni nini.
Sijui ni nini au nini?
Nasikia poa sijui, but I feel so great. The year has been very great. I have witnessed very many blessings to my life. I've witnessed a quite significant growth both in academics and in my business.
All right. Antone, Antone.
Okay, you can call me Antone. If you're French, you can call me Antoine.
Okay.
Okay.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much.
How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Actually, I'm in session. Yeah.
Okay. So you're still currently in school?
Yeah.
Both of you are actually.
I actually have a cut after this show.
Are you prepared for it, man? Are we wasting
No,
very
I'm a
valuable
genius.
grades?
No, I'm a genius.
Okay. We'll get to hear about that if you need to be a genius so that you can also do business while in campus. But let's hear about what you guys do individually. You're both, very budding entrepreneurs, founders as well. TSN, what does it stand for, Raul? And then, what exactly do you do with TSN branding?
TSN is an acronym for Tantas Star Networks Branding Experience. It is a company which offers services in line of writing, graphic designing, social media management, digital marketing, and also website design and development. So we offer a package to brand clients and businesses to make the best out of them.
TSN, Tantas Star Network. What's Tantas?
Tantas. Well, it's a sort of a long story, but I'll make it brief. I initially used to call myself the Smart Nation Branding Experience. Then when I was going to register the company, it was very hard for me to use the word nation because of the business requirements set by the government. So I had to get a name which will maintain TSN.
Okay.
It was a very long process, and at the end of the day, I had to get an English name. That's how me and my team, we came up with Tantas Star Networks Branding Experience.
All right. And NetGen. Am I getting that right?
Yeah.
All right. What does it do? There's that tech aspect, of course, and you told me earlier you're a developer yourself. Is that the kind of direction you're heading, or what kind of services do you offer?
Okay, from the name, NetGenix Tech Icons. Like, we leverage technology to spearhead businesses into the next level. So, like, we create custom websites. We also give digital solutions to businesses so that, like, we create websites if you want to increase your online visibility, if you want to improve your efficiency or automate your business. We can do that. Like, you're the guys to look for. Yeah.
All right. Now, let's talk about you being in campus first, and then we can get to the details of what both of your companies get to do. Individually, what do you study in school, and is it related to in any way to what you're doing as a business? Raul?
I take statistics. I am a mathematician. I'm a very passionate mathematician. Other than statistics, I'm also taking a course on software engineering. That's where my line is. So statistics is for the foundation. It has been a very good foundation to me. But software engineering is where I'm heading to.
Okay.
Software engineering and digital marketing.
Oh, bro, you have here someone you can get to employ for your own NetGen.
Actually, I'm a mechatronic engineer. Like, I'm a fourth year at JKUAT. I study mechatronic engineering. So actually, most of the services we do, they relate to engineering. So, like, we provide also like programming, like product design, computer aided drawings and stuff like that. Stuff we have just studied in school. So, like, I'm marketing before, like, I graduate.
All right.
Yeah.
I see. How do you get to apply statistics in TSN branding?
There's no application of statistics in TSN branding experience. Maybe managing the business in terms of data, financial analysis, but not that much.
Okay.
Yes.
So why did you when people mostly think about the easiest way to get to success is stick to this thing and then be very consistent at it, and in the end you will yield results. When it comes to campus students or for university students, there is that trade-off between career and passion. How did you get to do something that's outside of your career, and how do you balance that trade-off between this is what I chose to pursue as studies, and also this is what I'm doing as business? How do you reconcile these two things?
Well, it takes time and it also takes courage. Antone mentioned of something like adding skills which you can sell. That's what I realized 3 years ago. I was doing statistics, but there are very many programs which were online for free. Things to do with scholarships of software engineering. I applied for them, and that's how I started having a vision of how I can monetize them. Statistics is good, but software engineering, I think, to me is better because you can monetize it on your own without being employed.
All right. So what is it that made you not choose software engineering at first when you're going to campus, and then was it a realization later into school, or how did that come about?
Not really. I wanted to do software engineering right from Form 1. The issue was funds. When I finished Form 4, I wanted to do software engineering at a very good university. Then it was multimedia university, but my parents couldn't afford the school fees. So I had to take a similar course at a cheaper university.
Okay.
That's how I founded myself at JKUAT.
JKUAT is the cheaper university. I'm hoping there's not going to be any backlash from Juja boys who are watching the show here. He spoke about leveraging the online availability of courses. So is that also something you did, or how did you get to undertake the path that you're on?
Yeah, actually, these online courses for example, Coursera, ALX, you can use these platforms to study these stuff. Like, for example, me, I do web development, for example. Yeah, I studied it. Or you can also use YouTube. There's a lot of, YouTube is a very big university. You need to use it for your good, yeah.
Right. I had asked him about that trade-off between passion and studies. I understand you're a meme lord, or so I was informed before we came on here. Between balancing being a meme lord, going to class, a cut after this, and doing your business, how do you reconcile all these activities?
I think you just manage your time well. For example, for the memes, it's not like I mislead people. I after studying, when I'm tired, I post memes. I like memes, by the way. So, and then you just manage your time well. You manage your time well. I won't say balancing, because when you talk about balance, for example, in a beam balance, it means, if you want to balance stuff, you can take from this, then put here. You don't need to, trade, academic time, then do business. You can just, you can create, your free time. Use it for the business, yeah.
Okay.
Then academic stuff, I just do it during the academic stuff. Then business during my free time.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we've heard that, Raul, you're registered. I don't know if you are as well.
I'm registered, bro.
Okay. Now, we were discussing starting a business from scratch while in campus. And, the most financially disadvantaged people in the urban centers are the youth who are in campuses. Between asking for some money from relatives here and there, or friends, or a few ventures, there's not much for capital before you get to start. And you're speaking starting from scratch. Is it possible to do it without financial, without capital at the very onset, or how do you guys approach that issue of raising capital to start the business?
It is very, very possible. When I started TSN branding experience...
You're saying very, very possible.
Very, very possible,
okay.
Yes. When I started TSN branding experience, this will sound like those motivational talks.
Hopefully not.
I started with a loan from two friends. I'll mention them, Dennis Ndolo and Eli John. They loaned me 1,500 shillings. I used the money to design logo and the first poster. I didn't know much about graphic designing. So we'll be doing the business online. Once you have your space and you have internet and laptop, that's where I started campaigning, or rather advertising for my business. You tell people, I do this, I do this, I do that. Provided you have a good branding of your company, clients will come. You can still do it, provided you have a skill, you can monetize it, have a good branding, and then sell on social media. Okay. Clients will come, pole pole.
All right. Do you share the same sentiments?
Yeah, maybe to add, a business, for example, for campus students, you can't venture into goods, because when you're trading goods, it will be more expensive because you need the goods. But if you have a service which are selling or marketing, it's simple, yeah. So for example, me, I know I'm a developer. So a friend of mine wanted a website. So I developed a website for him. Then I got money. So I saw, wow, so I can monetize this skill, and the skill I just learned it from YouTube. So after getting the money, then I did the whole stuff, yeah. Okay. Setting up here.
All right. Raul, you talked about getting 1,500 from Dolo and that other, yeah. So they say the fastest way to lose a friend is to loan them some money, yeah. And for someone out there who's very afraid of trying to get some money to start, even if it's just 1,000, 1,500, are there other options in campus that students should pursue to raise essentially capital to begin, even if it's a very little? Are there those kind of options that you guys are aware of?
Yeah, there are very many options. I won't say savings because most people say savings. Yet, for you to have savings, you must be having income.
Okay.
There are very many options. You can start selling that skill right from scratch without advertising yourself, without having much branding. Then when money starts comes in, you improve pole pole. A good example is Antone. When he started, funny thing is that we are neighbors. When he started, he didn't even have a logo. He was telling people, I do this, I do this, I do that. Then when clients come, you use that money now as an investment.
Okay.
The first money, use it as an investment to grow your business. Yet it will be very hard for you to get loan from friends because of trust and the current financial status of the country. But I believe you can raise it by yourself.
Okay.
Pole pole too.
And John, tell us that secret. How did you do it with no logo and no branding? And then now we are here with a business with everything. Usituambie ni God. Hapa Nairobi mambo ya ni God ni kujaribu.
No, like using your friends, like stuff like that. Yeah, I was just telling friends telling friends and stuff. Ituka hiyo.
Okay.
Then about money. Okay, I believe like a business is money in. The cash flow is very important. Don't start spending like for example logo and you don't have money. You are not even sure the business will pick. So like first try and market. When you get money, then reinvest the money into the business. I feel that's the way it's supposed to be.
Is there a way to, while you're starting from scratch, because that's what we're discussing here, starting from scratch while in campus, So I just got an idea this morning. I want to start my branding business as well. Should I start with my friends? They say friends are there to support you, but they may not necessarily be your first client. Is it, how do I leverage my network then? Or how do you guys feel people should leverage their network within campus? Because we have very popular students who are broke, and it's important that they are able to use this mass number of people who are their friends or who are within their network to begin a business from scratch or to have them as their first clients. But there's that issue that, friends are there to just support you. If you talk to people who do content, they'll tell you, I'll send links, they'll post them on their statuses, and they won't view them, but they'll tell people about me. Probably half my friends don't watch my show, and that's okay, right? And how then should we translate that to business? Is there a way to still leverage that network and grow your business?
About that, I'll answer in a different perspective. Before you start a business, you should not just say, I want to start this business. There are two ways of which you can come up with an idea. The first way is learning a skill, then selling that skill. And that's the best way of starting a business. The other way of starting a business, which is the most common way, is identifying a solution or a problem, then coming up with a solution to that problem. Saying I want to come up with a branding business and you just start, it will be very hard for you to cope up along the way. About networking, there's also another factor which I always tell people. I'm a digital marketing consultant. There are two keys in business. There's getting new clients and there's maintaining existing clients. Many people focus on getting new clients. They forget maintaining existing clients. When you maintain your existing clients, they will give you free referrals. I was even telling my friends, the last time I did a Facebook ad was last year, I think around August or October. Since then, I've never done any ad. It is these existing clients who keep bringing jobs day in, day out. So the first client will get, maintain him or maintain her.
Okay.
He or she will bring other referrals without even you asking them to bring you referrals.
Anton, picking up from what you just said, how do you maintain the first client to ensure that there's repeat customers coming back to continue spreading the word and also bring back more for your business?
So like you offer exemplary like services. That is the secret, because when you give someone good services, he will definitely come back or even refer someone else when he or she hears like that person wants that need. Yeah.
All right. Exemplary services. What do exemplary services look like for your company?
Maybe I share a portfolio with you. We do very good websites. Yeah. Like we just do good stuff, good work. Yeah.
No, but let's hear the portfolio while we get to hear what Raul has to say about the digital space. There's a crop of there's the growth of AI currently, where I'm sure you're very aware of its applications across various fields. You spoke about, marketing, writing, and, many of these fields which are also affected by artificial intelligence. How have you been able to incorporate it within your, operations? And is that something that effectively someone can use when they're starting up a business while still in university and leverage it for growth?
Yes. And I'll give a very confident yes for that.
Okay.
There are very many platforms, websites, and machines out here which will make your work easier as a business entrepreneur. There are free resources like Canva, which, you not being a good graphic designer, you can still create your posts for social media posts. There is ChatGPT. You can use it for content writing, getting the right hashtags, captions, and blog content. There are very many of them out here which you can use to make your workflow easier. AI is not here to take over our work. AI is here to make our work easier. And I'll give a good example. 10 years ago, there were personal assistants, or rather, there were secretaries. Then there came some applications which people say they'll carry away the secretaries. But what did they do? Secretaries were forced to learn these things so that they can make their work as secretaries easier. It is the same thing with AI. It is here to make our work easier as designers, developers, engineers, and all those fields.
Getting back to you, Antone, as you prepare for your portfolio there, let me just ask about AI, and then I get back to your portfolio still, because I really still, of course, we are trying to sell to an audience here on what you do, and it's important that they know exactly what kind of services you focus on. But still sticking with AI, you design websites as well, and say it's possible for someone to head out to ChatGPT and ask for a short description on how to do a website, take it over to Midjourney or DALL-E, whichever of the other image generation sites are there, and then get maybe a mock-up of the website, move through Canva, here and there, and eventually come up with, even if it's a not well put in place website, it's still something. Does that concern you as a developer? And are there ways in which you integrate AI, as he mentioned in some of his activities, to help it grow?
Okay, for the AI, like you can use like the AI to find like the framework of the code, stuff like that. But something like the user interface, like human, like the AI, as much as it is intelligent, it cannot put like the work the way a human being can, like wants, like stuff like that. So like AI cannot replace me, because my services are exemplary, as I said. And I'll share with you my portfolio after this.
Okay, all right, let me get back to Raul again. Now, while we're still on the conversation on how to set up from scratch a business in university, do you focus mainly on the student population, or should someone get out there? We like to call it out there as if it's a physical location outside the university gates, but you get my point there. Should you begin within the university premises, or go out there into the population and start your business?
For a start with students if you're in university, because you have direct contact with them. But you have to grow also.
Okay.
When you grow, go out there with that name. Try getting clients out there. And let me tell you one funny thing, that clients out here, they really appreciate youth over the aging generation. If they realize that you're a youth age 22 and you're doing a business, they'll be very much willing to do business with you than do with someone who's 35 years. And we should take that as an advantage, as we're still young. Build our name, get out there, win clients. They will definitely adore your services, provided you are very trustworthy, you have a very good reputation, and you have a very good strong brand on social media.
But, all right, like, okay, students cannot necessarily be your market. I feel like you just, for example, my market is mostly SMEs. So like you just need to put your content only in the social media, and then let social media do its magic.
Social media, actually, now while we are still on it, is very popular with university students. Maybe shares a few tips which a business, someone who's doing a business in university premises can leverage social media platforms to push out a word about their business.
I'm not talking as a digital marketing consultant. You can
consultation here.
You can check my LinkedIn, Raul Nyabole. For social media, but it is the greatest tool to ever exist. I have partly grown because of Facebook. You can use the right content words, the right keywords, and use hashtags optimization. When you do that, it will score high on SEO, and even clients will start responding to posts you did 6 years ago. Consistent posting, consistent content calendar, and having the goals to achieve at the end of that calendar, it will pick. I have done social media management and social media optimizations for a number of clients, and the result has been very, very, very good.
Okay.
Another thing, okay, maybe to add, like in this, like for example, like this generation, like attention has been like a modern currency for this world. So like for example, kaveve kazote, like ama like shouting, then unaomoka tu hivyo maze. Yeah, so like I feel if you put your stuff in the internet, then people embrace it well. Like you just make it kituka here. Yeah.
All right, gentlemen, lastly, I'd like us to hear, I'll give you this platform to tell us the social media platforms in which people can reach out to you and how they can get business from you, because that's also what we're trying to do here. You're doing business while still in university, and now we have an audience for you to talk to. So I'll start from you, Raul. There goes your camera. Please tell us where people can find TSN branding experience, and other pricing that you would like to issue out that you can do as well.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm available on all social media platforms as at Raul Nyabole. That's Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and LinkedIn. For my company, it is TSN Branding Experience, but we use the username at TSN Experience on Twitter, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. For pricing, our rate card varies depending on the nature of the business and the kind of the work. So you can send up as a DM on either platforms. We respond immediately. Even now, I have a team that does that. I will share with you the customized rate card for each package.
Okay, Antone.
Okay, for me, like Netgenics Tech Icons, you can find us at Netgenics Icons IG, Netgenics Icons Facebook, and Netgenics Icons Twitter. So what we do, we leverage technology to spearhead businesses, especially SMEs, into the next level. So if you want websites, we can create custom websites to your preference, to tailor your needs, and it will improve your online visibility, and you'll just get results. Yeah, you'll get an audience. Thank you.
All right, Masi Makau here is saying this is so encouraging. Raul and Antone, you are really encouraging us as young people. Maybe just get a last word of encouragement, or any last word they can give to guys who are trying to start business from university. One sentence each, and then we'll be good.
For me, it is to kill off imposter syndrome. Imposter syndrome is when you're great, but you don't want people to know that you're great. Go out to the world, show people what you're doing, and let people know that you're very good at graphic designing, project management, or software engineering.
All right. Anything,
okay,
Antone?
for me, like in this generation, people want to get money instantly. What I would advise people is start small. Don't be afraid to start small. You can make baby steps, then itajipa. Yeah, thank you.
All right, that's Antone and Raul Nyabole, who are students in university, but also conducting their own businesses of branding and also technology, which is leveraging some of those resources to bring your business to the next level. Coming up next is a discussion on the state of the nation and the headlines in this day's newspapers. You have the Business Daily, the Daily Nation, and the Standard. I'm speaking with Mwalimu Kinywa. Mwalimu Kinywa Njuguna. He'll be here. He's also a seasoned political analyst. So let's get to hear on how the country is doing economically, politically, and anything else in between that we'll find. So grab yourself a copy. We'll be right back.
Technology, science, innovation, ICT and research. These are the ingredients upon which the solutions to the 21st century problems are founded. In a world that is rapidly changing, it's all hands on deck to ensure a balance in all fields of life. Women, young and old, are also in the front line, breaking the glass ceiling, becoming thought leaders in the larger tech space. Not forgetting other societies marginalized. And when the tech Avengers come together, we inch closer to a much safer, efficient, and sustainable world. What we view as a norm in today's advanced world was just an idea, and for nostalgic reasons, we trace back the iconic days to bring you the retro tech. On Tech Innovation Show, we encapsulate all the pillars of the fourth industrial revolution, decoded in a language, all for one for all. Every Monday at 8:30 as we push the mantra, keep learning something new each and every day. Only on KUTV, a new experience.
Maelfu na maelfu ya wahamiaji wakiwa na watoto kutoka nchi za Amerika ya Kati wanaendelea kuwasili kwenye mpaka kati ya Marekani na Mexico.
The folks are going. Thank you very, very much. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Ni habari kutoka pembe zote duniani.
Pepopa si vuguvugu. Pepopa ni idea.
Sazidi ananyonya, hanyonyi vizuri, anakuwa hayuko comfortable.
Jeshi la Jamhuri ya Kidemokrasia ya Kongo linapambana na waasi wa ADF.
Kwa sasa wanatoa wito kwa mashirika, makampuni na vile vituo vya uchukuzi.
Mambo mengi yatakwenda kama yalivyopangwa.
Hapa ni kuna mmoja wa viongozi wa chama cha wavuvi katika eneo hili.
Zaidi tunajaribu kuwapa chanjo ili ina boost ama inanyanyua kinga ya mwili, ndio inaenda kupelekea kupambana na virusi.
Ni duniani leo, Jumatatu mpaka Ijumaa, moja kwa moja kutoka VOA Swahili, Washington DC.
We are all seeing the impacts of climate change. In Kenya, for example, the frequency of the floods is becoming more and worse. The amount of people and livestock we are losing.
The level we need to go is the level where the normal mwananchi and also the government stakeholders can uptake the solutions.
Those small acts multiplied by millions of us will help make a difference in the world at the end of the day.
It's just a slight behavior change that we need, and you find that it serves us a bit more than you put in. And that's the goal. We want to live a better world than we found. Because at the rate we are going, it's dire.
We will secure the planet for future generations.
Hello everyone, this is the new chapter of Let's Be Fit. I'll be host DiCaplo. I'm here to give you various workouts. I'll be having different trainers. We'll have Zumba classes, we'll have aerobics classes, we'll have box exercise, we'll have kata box. Just The show comes every Thursday from 6:30 a.m. to 7 a.m. Keep it locked. Make sure we keep fit. And that's it from me to you.
This is my jam down. I say manami, I will never give up. Na hata nikisota show me something. Everybody wanna feel like me. You is like a river. Real thing, if I never mama, I wouldn't believe it. Hear me when I say just like
tunakula usiku. Tuachane na break kwanza, tuende lunch. Chapo. Yoyo. Kama ngimo.
Rasha piga shada kuna giza. Zikinai tujinai siweke story. Kata maji pia shada liko na sio nikosa msupo si stress. Kama rende kisha basi nipe. Najua ni nini.
Big up, Brother, you are a deliver, big up, Sis, big up, shows, Mamba, big up, Oya, wase wote, okay, my principal, big up.
Mwalimu Kinyo Njuguna. He's joining us for the first time on Biashara Tuesday to give us an outlook of what we can expect in the coming few weeks in the economy, but also what kind of questions we should be asking ourselves in terms of the state of the nation, both citizens and the leaders. There are a lot of events which have been brewing up for the past few weeks, from protests to the Finance Act to others which we will be actually touching on here this morning. We have the Standard, the Daily Nation, and the Business Daily with us. But before we get into that whole discussion, let me just go through what the headlines have for us, beginning with the Standard. On top there, pressure mounts on Uhuru over Azimio protests. Security chiefs have been tasked to investigate the ongoing demonstrations, with allegations that former President Uhuru Kenyatta could be at the center of resource mobilizations. There's a picture there of ODM Secretary General Edwin Sifuna addressing the press yesterday, where he claimed there was a plan by the government to harm Azimio leaders during the demonstration. This, of course, happened at that parliamentary group meeting by leaders or members of parliament from the side of Azimio La Umoja One Kenya coalition party. So pressure mounts on former President Uhuru Kenyatta over this Azimio protest, given that he is also a principal in that coalition party. That's what the Standard is prioritizing. But on top there, they've squeezed a few stories which you can find on other pages this morning. Teen crisis report is there on page 3. Millions of teenagers are smoking, drinking, and skipping school. school. So here we have a teacher this morning. It's going to be an interesting discussion to see how we can solve this crisis of teenagers in this kind of report, which also details what percentage of these teenagers are involved in the abuse of alcohol, number of adolescents who are abusing marijuana at the time of this survey, and much more on depression and anxiety as a result. Russia ends a UN-backed grain deal. So that's a conversation on the breadbasket. Agriculture is also going to be a conversation we're having here this morning. And then at the sport pages this morning, you can find a conversation there on the new football kings. And these are all coming from the western side. We'll get to maybe have a look at that, but mostly the stories that I've already talked about on politics and the teenage crisis. The Daily Nation has their memo. The page 1 comment is a memo which was also there in their bulletin last night on the primetime news. Enough is enough. Nobody knows for sure whether the country will hold together or break apart should anti-government demonstrations, which are planned for tomorrow through to Friday, take place. More than 50 million Kenyans are also waiting with bated breath to see what President William Ruto and opposition chief Raul Odinga will do in addressing this stalemate that is highly anticipated in the Republic and of course has raised concerns across the globe, where the United Nations has also issued a statement decrying the abuse of human rights in the hands of police officers in this protest. We're also going to speak about that in the State of the Nation. That is the role of police officers in this kinds of demonstrations. There also on the back page you get the probe into NHIF. The National Assembly has now launched a public inquiry into fraudulent payments of medical claims and irregular tendering processes at NHIF, and members of the public are invited to submit their memoranda to Parliament all the way up until Friday. Nakumicha, that is the CS Health, is now under fire in the courts as a Nakuru doctor has now filed a case against her, accusing her of promoting junior officials to senior management positions in that ministry. At the bottom, there's a squeeze on page 29 that you can get to read. Fresh hope for Kenyan farmers or Kenyan tea pickers in compensation fight with Finlays. That is, over 2,000 workers are now getting to secure or have now been allowed to take this petition for a case in the UK. And of course, this is going to spell good news in compensation. And we'll also get to hear from Mwalimu on what the agriculture sector is doing in the Republic, and also have a very focused look at the Mount Kenya region. Before I get ahead of myself, let me introduce our guest of the day, Mwalimu Kinyo Njuguna. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me here. This is my first time being in this particular show. And I'm so excited to be here.
Right.
Yes.
Mwalimu, welcome. And maybe we can get a background of you're a teacher of, or a teacher at which institution?
Okay. Currently, I'm not a practicing teacher. I used to be a teacher at Nova Pioneer, and then I joined politics, and then here we are.
Right.
Yes.
You're a seasoned political analyst, and that's why we are glad to have you this morning. And as you've heard, there are some stories which are, also touching on academia, and we'll get to take a look at it. Maybe we begin with a general view from your side, Mwalimu, where you're seated. Yes. What is the state of the nation at the moment? What should we be telling a Kenyan who's watching us? Do we have a pessimistic outlook, or is there a future in the direction the state is heading?
Of course, just as you have put it, Kenyans are between a hard and a rock place, owing to the hard economic times, the lack of jobs for the youth, and then, of course, the salaries that have so much been slashed by the high taxes, and, of course, the high cost of basic commodities, from petrol to food stuff. All that is leaves Kenyans at a very difficult position. So in my view, we have a very pessimistic situation as we speak in the country. And not unless the government acts and do something to mitigate the situation, we are going to be in a very difficult situation.
Right.
Yes.
The Daily Nation calls it, or in their memo, which is addressing President William Ruto and former Prime Minister Raul Odinga, they're saying enough is enough.
Yes.
And at this point, it doesn't matter who has the legal or moral high ground. Do you feel like enough is enough at this point? And what should these two core principles, who are now holding the fate of the nation in their hands, Azimio leader Raila Odinga, President William Ruto, who have now put their feet down on these planned protests, which are beginning tomorrow. So there's that Finance Act from last week, which is informing the high cost of living that Prime Minister Raila Odinga, or former Prime Minister Raila Odinga, is pointing out. Is enough at this point, Malim?
You know, Richard, just to mention that two wrongs do not make a right. We are in a situation whereby the two leaders, the two topmost leaders, that is the president and the former prime minister, need to come off their high horses and just listen to what Kenyans are telling them. Because what you are seeing is the chest dumping and the bravado that is so common to those people who are in power. Because once the people who are being led tells you that you have a problem in this area, and then you assume and you ignore everything that you promised them while you are campaigning and while you are looking for power, that amounts to trapping of power. And that is why you are finding the people in, for us who are in Azimio, we are pushing and hoping that this government could just listen.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Right. Is it possible for us to carry out our daily activities without disruption? I know we are talking about constitutional rights as well when we get to these kinds of discussion.
Yes.
You know, there's that right to protest, right to demonstrate, right to picket, which is provided by the Constitution. But also there's a right for protection from the government's side. Is it possible for the rest of Kenyans to continue with their activities while the political the political side of the state continues also, if it's a fight for the common Mwananchi's rights by the opposition, or if it's a counter reaction from the government? Is it possible for that to happen without us seeing a shutdown? Because what is expected from Wednesday all the way through to Friday is that most businesses will not open, most children will likely not go to school, and the economy will come to a standstill. There's paralyzing of activity. Is it possible for that not to be the case, Mali?
You know, Richard, one thing, suppressing ideas does not make them to run away. The fact that the government is running away from the high cost of living, the high taxes, it does not want to listen and take action. It will not make Kenyans to stop thinking and to stop acting and to do something, to go on the street and protest. So at this point, what I would like to say, it is now up to those people who have power, because to whom much is given, much is expected. We expect the government to be discussing about how it is going to lower the cost of living, how it is going to create opportunities for the youth, how it is going to increase salaries for those who are working, and how it is going to create a conducive environment for business and people and investors so that we can spur the economy. But what we are seeing is a regime that is determined to arrest the voices of dissent, a regime that is determined to create divisions within the common people, because we saw the other day when the president called the Kenya Kwanza parliamentarians, and instead of discussing how they are going to solve the crisis, which is the economic crisis which is in the country, we saw that they were being funded, being guided on how they are going to suppress people, or the Kenyans who are demanding for jobs. Kenyans who are demanding for lowering the cost of living on Wednesday or on Thursday or on Friday. Of course, that is a failure of leadership. Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So there's a need for leadership to be addressing the issues.
Yes, we are lacking leadership in the country. both in the government and to some extent in from our side in Azimio.
Right.
Yes.
The country's fate is now in the hands of 5 men, and that's according to what the nation has here on page 4 and page 5. The opposition and the government are on a collision course ahead of this 3-day protest beginning tomorrow. All eyes will be on Ruto, Raila, Kindiki, Koome, and Haji. So those are the 5 people who are going to be very key in these deliberations. National Intelligence Service Director General also Nordin Haji there, as I've mentioned. National Police Service Inspector General Japhet Koome, Interior Cabinet Secretary Professor Kithure Kindiki, President William Ruto, and Chief of the Opposition Raila Odinga. At what point, speaking from the side of the opposition now, at what point does it become a fight of the people and not a fight by or for Azimio?
Okay, Richard, there is one thing that we are getting wrong, and that is making this whole issue to be about the former Prime Minister. It is not about Raila. It is about the ordinary Kenyans. And then we have to go back and ask ourselves how we got ourselves into this kind of a situation. You remember the person who is the president today was the second in command. So he cannot in any way run away from the failures of the former Jubilee government. And then we have also to remind our fellow citizens the role of a government. The role of government is to provide. The role of government is to create opportunities. The role of government is to, provide the necessary infrastructure so that we can, grow the economy, so that we can have people who want to invest come in the country to create a conducive environment for business. But now what we are seeing in government is very quick to appoint, a bloated executive where we have more than the required PSs. You saw the other day our courts, saying that the CAS's positions are unconstitutional. So it is important we remind the people in everyday conversation that the role of government is to protect the most vulnerable people, ensure that there is education, ensure that there is health. That is the role of the government. So when we are seeing the kind of things that we are seeing, that is diversionary tactic, so that the government can run away from its core mandate of protecting the citizens and ensuring that the country moves forward. And that is why you are seeing every day from the government side, they keep on pointing fingers, they keep on shifting blame to the opposition and to the former president. Why? Because they have failed in their leadership role.
Right.
Yes.
Now, when we're talking about the role of government, I think let's also speak about the role of the opposition just a bit there.
Yes.
The CS Interior is concerned that the opposition is using tactics which are not very favorable to the economy. So the role of the opposition is not to paralyze operations in the Republic, which means we do not need a shutdown of business between Wednesday and Friday. Those are 3 days that will lead to loss of lives or loss of property and loss of business as well. How can we, Mwalimu, ask direct questions? When I began this show, I pointed out the fact that when we speak about the whole high cost of living, they sound like buzzwords these days. But we take a look at very important details and very specific details. For example, if you're speaking about price of unga going up, we're speaking about either by 100 bob, by 50 bob, and then you add another fuel by 10 shillings, you add 50 shillings here and there. And there's that Kenyan who's doing mjengo, and they get 500 shillings, 700 shillings. If you compute this, at the end of the month, they do not have enough to even survive through the economy, which is a very good, a very good concern which is being raised by the opposition and, on behalf of Kenyans. But is it possible for the opposition to take up its role without heading towards the direction of paralyzing operations?
Okay, I would just like to begin by pointing out on the roles of opposition, because it is good when we are in such a platform to tell Kenyans that actually the opposition does not control any resources. It is the government that collects taxes. It is the government that allocates the resources. So the work of opposition as a government in waiting, it is to point out and criticize the government when it fails, and at the same time to applaud the government and support its effort when it's doing the right thing. But now when you come to our situation in our country, Kenya, what is the government doing? The government began by appointing the president, friends, and his cronies to very important position in the government. Because when you are looking at the appointments of this KK regime, it leaves you wondering which kind of country are we in? Which direction are we taking as a country? Because we have to look at the critical sectors of the government, the education, health, and economy, roads and transport. All these people who have been appointed or given this a serious seat, these are politicians. And what the Constitution says, or what the Constitution was stipulating, is that these positions are going to be given to technocrats, to people who are not politicians. And that is why you find that in every move the government is making is failing. Then come to the second issue of the government expenses, because there are some things that the government could do. Like for instance, the government could reduce on its expenses. We are seeing every day when there is public holidays and national celebrations, we are seeing officials of the government flying over and then using the, what do you call them, the fuel gasolers and the big machines, so that you may be confused when you go attending a public holiday, whether you are in a car bazaar or you are in a, what the leaders are doing in the country does not reflect what the citizens are undergoing. And that is why we have to keep on educating and creating a lot of awareness to our people that the country is headed in the wrong direction. And it is ignorant to expect that the government is going to change and our livelihoods are going to improve, because the government is moving in an opposite direction. Then when you come to the other issue of the government using the we were told that the coffers were empty when this government was coming in. But we are finding a situation where the government is using the few resources to buy opposition MPs, to persuade using resources other people who are perceived to be in the Azimio stronghold to come on their side. You saw a clip that was circulating in the social media the other day, or when there was, I think there was a celebration of PS Omolo homecoming. You saw that youths were being bought. Now, the question that we need to ask ourselves is, where are these resources coming from? And yet you claim that the coffers were empty. So, Richard, I think we need to call the government, we need to call it out as opposition. And I think the opposition is doing very well on that side. I would rate it very high. And we were treated to a lot of bravado when the president was saying that we want these people to put us in check, to put us in our toes. And he was interested to find out when we'll be holding demonstrations. Now here are the demonstrations, and you want to suppress them. You
Here actually, Senator Oburu Oginga is saying, where does Ruto get the power to call off demonstrations? We don't need your permission to come out and demonstrate. And you've pointed out there, the president was quite excited in his opening speech when he was taking over power last year, saying he's looking forward towards being put into account by a vibrant opposition, which is probably now more vibrant than you would have thought. But let's talk about what the Article 37 of the Constitution says about these demonstrations which we are expecting, and then we can get to speak about human rights as well as the role of the police in handling this scenario. Article 37 of the Constitution, you can also read it yourself on page 5 of the Daily Nation. It provides for freedom of peaceful assembly and states that every person has the right peaceably and unarmed to assemble, to demonstrate, to picket, and to present petitions to public authorities. This right can only be limited by law and then only to the extent that the limitation is reasonable, justifiable in an open and democratic society. Under the Public Order Act, an assembly may be stopped or prevented when there is clear, present, or imminent danger of a breach of the peace or public order. There are two questions here, Mwalimu, that maybe we can take a look at as we speak about this protest. At least 23 people have been killed in this nationwide protest so far. This is bloodshed that should be, as the nation says, enough is enough at this point.
And we have condolences to the family.
Of course, condolences again, right, to those families of the 23 people who've been killed so far. One life is one too many to lose for any kind of struggle or any kind of civil unrest as the one we are witnessing here. But there are two questions to ask here, Mwalimu.
Yes.
One, is the opposition providing notice to the government? And if they're doing so, a show of force by the government, how can this be handled in a way that we don't see a loss of lives by the police, or we don't see the opposition, destruction of property by the opposition claims that it's the government that is sending goons, but whether this is true or the other is true is still up for debate. But we still have two facts on the table. We are losing lives from one end, which is purely police officers who are shooting down people who are in this demonstrations, that is protesters. No protester has killed a Kenyan or has killed a police officer, but there's that destruction of property as well. Is there a way to find balance? The police can be able to protect the citizenry, but also the citizenry does not overreact in this kind of scenarios, if I can say it's an overreaction.
Okay, let me begin by saying that first of all, we are reminding the police or the law enforcement agencies, because they are our brothers and sisters. We are reminding them that they are suffering in the same manner that we Kenyans are suffering. They are not special, they are not unique, and the only thing that they have been given is a responsibility and a duty to maintain law and order. Now, when it comes to us who are in Azimio, I would like to challenge the government. The Constitution is very clear, and not unless they have suspended the Constitution, I would like the government to come out clear and cite situations whereby we have, number one, we have, the Constitution, Article 37. Where have we, because the Constitution is very clear, where have we prevented or where have we shown imminent danger or a breach of a peace or public order if they cannot be in a position to do that? And now you find that one is making it so difficult for people who are in Azimio to keep on telling the government when precise areas where we are going to demonstrate, where we are going to assemble, because they are using the same information to hurt the people who are protesting. So you find that what we are doing in Azimio, we are giving one singular notice that is effective countrywide. So that, because the government has shown us that the more we give them information about our plans, the more they use it to inflict harm in our coalition. So we don't have an option but to give one notice of a demonstration. And in that case, our leader, the former Prime Minister, has been very clear, together with the Deputy President of Azimio, Her Excellency Mother Karua, that we are going to protest in a peaceful way. But the government has on many occasions hired goons to come and cause violence, to cause division. You saw the other day when I think it was Dennis Itumbi made a tweet, and you saw goons invading the farm of who was the former president. Then you saw the other day he made another tweet, and the same case applies to senior government officials. Moses Kuria, made a tweet that has the potential of dividing this country and taking this country back to where we have come from, where we would not want to go. So we have not seen any action from the government side. So these are people who are preaching water and taking wine.
That's true.
For us, we are going to maintain peaceful protest until when the police come and lobby tear gas to us, until when they come and shoot innocent protesters.
Right.
Yes.
Let's compare this information that you're giving with what is there on the standard.
Yes.
At the front there's pressure on former president, immediate former president Uhuru Kenyatta over this Azimio protest.
Yes.
And now, speaking a few days ago, National Assembly Majority Leader Kimani Ichung'wah and the Senate counterpart Aaron Cheriot called on the IG to investigate all acts of criminality during this protest, arrest perpetrators and charge them. According to them, it is not just the violent or so-called violent demonstrators who should be prosecuted. The financiers and the mobilizers of this, what they're calling them criminal gangs, should be charged with the various crimes that their money procures. Should also this be a conversation at this point? Is it about who is funding what, or who is involved in the back of this demonstration, or is it just purely about, should we focus purely on what Kenyans are needing this protest to bring out as a result?
Richard, let me tell you one thing. You have been in this country for long enough. We know these are diversionary tactics. What the government is trying to do is trying to make the complaints that Kenyans have, the demands of Kenyans and their grievances, to appear as if it's a Raila. You know, where does the former president come in when Kenyans are demanding for lowering the cost of unga? Where does the former president come in when Kenyans are demanding that, please, we are hurting, don't increase the taxes? Where does the president come in when you are hiring more CSs, more PS than it's even required? So, as I said, it's a failure of leadership. These are diversionary tactics, and Kenyans ought to ignore such tactics and continue making demands for what is rightfully theirs. Yes.
Right. So the price of unga is going up. But I don't see how that involves former President Uhuru Kenyatta.
Of course.
There are new taxes in the finance bill. I have not seen former President Uhuru Kenyatta's name there, and that's rightfully so, because the government has also protested a letter from the United Nations, which is pointing out that there have been gross violation of human rights in this peaceful demonstration. This is according to what the United Nations observed as peaceful demonstration, but saying that protesters have been killed. However, on the side of the government, they have also protested that, saying that they have not been peaceful demonstrations and that police have appropriately, and I'm just quoting them by their own terms, that they have appropriately handled this protest. We see a situation where even the government of the republic, the government of the day, does not heed to any observation by the international community, which is of course here now specifically speaking about the United Nations. If I am a normal Kenyan taking a look at this, and I was hoping for any hope or any sort of help from the international community, it seems there's also resistance from the government to even admit of its own wrongdoing. Now, speaking about justice, how should we pursue justice when it is at that point? I know we're going to touch about the Finance Act as well, which now we have a parliament which isn't answerable to the people and is being used as a manipulative tool. So if we pursue the direction of signatures, as Azimio is seeking to do, we'll hit we'll hit a very difficult situation in Parliament where this doesn't proceed any further. If it's the United Nations, the government is saying we are just handling it appropriately. These are violent demonstrators. How should the Kenyan, these 23 people, 23 families of the 23 people, how should we pursue justice in such kind of a scenario?
Okay, thank you, Richard. I want to begin by inviting the UN and the UNHCR and all the bodies, and including the African, the AU, actually, the African Union, to pay attention to the events that are unfolding in the country. And one thing is going to come out very clear. We have the government, which is armed, which has the resources, And that they are using those resources to attack the very people they are supposed to protect. So the UNHCR, you saw the other day, they gave caution and they said that they are monitoring the things that are in the country, and we want to invite them to take stock, because we do not know what might happen in the protest. The kind of plans that are there in the government, we have seen a government that is capable of anything. So let the UN take note. And the other thing I want to mention is about the state capture. You saw the ruling that was made by the Supreme Court of Kenya, and it is, you saw even the terms and the words that were used, they are totally words which we do not expect from such institutions. And to this extent, we can say that the government or the judiciary is blowing hot and cold, because we have seen them call out the government when it tried to impose the punitive taxes. We have seen them call out the government when it tried to bring in the CASs. And therefore, as much as we are gaining some trust in the judiciary, we are not fully persuaded that the local the local courts and the local justice system can give justice to the victims. And that is why we are inviting the UN and the ICC, all of them, to pay attention, keen attention to what is unfolding in the country. Because when you go to Parliament, which is supposed to, be checking the excesses of the executive, you have seen that Parliament has been completely, it's just a rubber stamp, a mouthpiece of the executive, so that such that whatever the president wants, he will have his way. And the members of Parliament, we have seen in many occasions, they are too afraid to say no, and to tell the president that the country is heading in the wrong direction. And you ask yourself why. When you look at the country, it would be in the interest of the president to lower the taxes. But why is he not doing so? Because he is being controlled by external powers. The IMF, the World Bank, they want to control what is happening in the country. And in many cases where we have seen government acting at the whims of those Western powers, those regimes are failing. And therefore, I continue to persuade my fellow Kenyans, let us continue demanding, let us continue protesting.
Right.
Yes.
On page 7 of the Daily Nation, Ruto's camp, there's information here which has been received by the Nation insiders from the Kenya Kwanza side, who are now providing emissaries to rope in National Assembly Minority Whip and Azimio spokesperson Professor Makau Mutua and other top government officials in the security sector to lead the talks in a timeline of September 1st. So there seems that the Kenya Kwanza administration is trying, according to the sources here that you can also read on page 7 of the Daily Nation, is trying to secure a deal with the opposition to end this anti-government protest. Let's speak about this kind of bipartisan talks which were called off earlier. In a situation where President William Ruto gets to have a sit down with former Prime Minister Raila Odinga, there are several issues which will be brought up on the table. Not only the high cost of living, there is the issue of the reconstitution of IEBC, and the issue of election result and electoral fraud. And I have to say this, sometimes when we have these discussions, or when former Prime Minister Raila Odinga speaks of the high cost of living and then points out on the server and the IEBC issue, we see a sort of a kind of freeze from people who feel like these are not issues that should be there on the table. But these are very important issues that should not be depending on an election cycle to be brought up as a discussion on the table. So we do expect and we do hope, I think I'm also speaking from a personal point of view, I do hope that all these issues can be tabled once and for all. From your angle, Mwalimu, what do you envision a discussion between the opposition and the government? What will you envision as the best outcome? What will you envision as the discussion the direction the discussion will take for the best outcome?
Okay, let me say this. As we speak, the government and the president is in a very tight corner because these are the same people who demonized the handshake. They say that the handshake is a bad thing, that the government and the opposition should not work together. And the only reason that handshake was demonized, it is for political reasons. But now, we have seen in the country in the past, 2007, 2008 is one good example. It is only dialogue and the mediation that restored peace and sanity in our country. The position where we are in as a country, it's only dialogue and mediation that can help us through out of this crisis. But the people who have the responsibility, the high responsibility falls on the government. It is upon the government to call the opposition or the Azimio. And then, as for us as Kenyans, we do not want positions to be created. And in fact, Azimio has been so clear. What are the demands of Azimio? We want, first of all, election justice. There are issues that are hanging. The opening of server. Because if the government believes that it is truly won in a free and fair manner, then they should not have any problem opening the server. The other issue is on the IBC issue. Azimio is saying, stop appointing your own referee. For us to have a fair game, let us sit together and come up with the IBC commissioners. Then the cost of living. The government is saying, at this juncture, you cannot increase taxes. You cannot introduce housing levies. You cannot raise the VAT from 8% to 16%. Now everyone, including the mama boggers and the boda people who are at the center of the campaign in Kenya Kwanza, all of them are complaining because they are stuck what the government promised and what is delivering. So it is so simple for the government. You are the one who has the instrument of power, you have the resources, you are collecting the taxes. Come to a negotiation table. Let us, we in Azimio, table our issues, which are very clear, and then the government will see what it can deliver. And when I look at the checklist of Azimio, it is possible to deliver in all those areas that are being highlighted.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, let's speak to the role of citizenry so that we know we've been moving from the government to the opposition. Yes. And now let's speak about the people.
Good.
As we round up this discussion on the planned 3-day protest marathon,
Yes.
A marathon protest, as I would like to call it, from tomorrow through to Friday, the super wealthy, Mwalimu, have protection. Not the middle class, not the poor. The businesses that are going to be destroyed or closed down are not by the wealthy who are living in the leafy suburbs of Nairobi or in whatever region.
Yes.
Those ones have dogs, they have high walls, they have well fenced, put up electric fences, they have security personnel, and the poor do not. Those who are in the streets, those who would like to go to the streets are a normal mwananchi. Those who will die, and hopefully no one continues to, they will be poverty-stricken family members of someone who suffer from, some of those economic issues that we seek to highlight in this show. There has to be more than the Constitution, Walib. There has to be more than what the Constitution provides for the right of protest, what the Constitution provides for protection, what the Constitution provides as the role of government. We are aware that the Kenya Kwanza government says they won the election free and fair, which was also ratified by the Supreme Court. So they have the right to thumb their chests and say, we won, give us 5 years, and this is rightfully provided by the Constitution.
Yes.
And the opposition is also saying the same. But the reality is that a normal mwananchi, as you began by saying, is caught up in between these two issues. So there has to be more than constitutionalism. We do not need a messiah. We do not need a savior. We need the reality to be in check with what we are experiencing on a day-to-day level.
Yes.
What should a Kenyan watching these two scenarios react, and how should they proceed in the coming few days?
Okay, let me begin by saying this. Actually, it is true. According to the courts, according to the Supreme Court ruling and the IEBC chairperson, Kenya Kwanza won. But still, that does not mean the people stop exercising their power. Because the power that is, you see, with the president and his deputy and all leaders in various capacities, that power has been donated to those leaders by Kenyans. And Kenyans have, at any given time, the liberty to recall these leaders. What we are seeing today in Kenya is that power that is guaranteed by the Constitution. Article 1 of the Constitution, it is the one which is being exercised. Now, today, and I'm speaking this as someone who, as a young man, a youth who comes from the Mount Kenya region, we are in a we are in a dilemma. Let me see that word. Because our people have been brainwashed to think that pointing at a problem, highlighting what is not working, protesting is a wrong thing. And the people who do this, they do it at their own personal interest, because they don't want our Wajiko, they don't want to deal with our Wajiko who is awakened. They want someone who has been suppressed, someone who is intimidated, someone who think that always the government will serve in his or her best interest. And sometimes when power enters into some of these people, they tend to misuse it. And it is therefore upon Wajiko to detect that we are in a situation where the government is misusing its power, and then they exercise their power. Then I would also like to mention something that pertains with the hustlers, as you had mentioned them, the common Wanjiku. You saw the last campaign was full of divisions and the class wars, the dynasties versus the hustlers. It is neither here nor there. Instead, what the government needs to do, it is to empower Wanjiku, because you cannot enrich a country by lowering or by destroying the rich. The role of government is to create opportunities for all, to empower the youth. But what we are seeing is the rich are being fought for political interest and for political purposes. Today, we are seeing the youths from Mount Kenya being branded as Mungiki. And you ask yourself why? Because they are afraid. The promises that they give during campaign, they never talk about them. During campaign, you are told this will be a government of Mama Mboga, a government of Boda Boda, and the lower class. If you look at the picture, starting from the top, in the cabinet, there is no single representation of a Mama Mboga. There is no single representation of a Boda Boda. Coming down, even to situations where the government could have given at least few youths, the CAS, we saw the government went in the opposition strongholds and they collected some political rejects and gave them those seats.
Actually, the latest of the appointments at the Commission of Revenue Allocation is an appointment of the wife of the former IBC chair, Chebukati.
That is what we are talking about.
Right.
So, let us stop the diversionary tactic, and let the people continue exercising their power without any intimidation.
One very last question there, as we drop that section for people to go and read more in what is there in the dailies. I have a question about now the role of the citizens.
Yes.
Do we learn mwalimu, or are we plain gullible people? Because these are conversations we've been having since 2007. No one is unaware of the repercussions of the civil strife that happened in 2007, 2008, 2017, a few cases here and there. Last year, there were also a couple of cases, but it seems that repeatedly, when we get back to an election cycle, we seem to forget. And then after we've done our democratic process, we come back and point fingers to these leaders for 5 good years or for 4 good years. And then it seems that in that very last year, we have some sort of memory loss. We have lost a recollection of what exactly happened in the past, and now it seems like we are in a very new, different country. And then we do repeat this after every 5 years. What is our role as a citizen of the Republic? We condemn corruption, but we immensely practice it ourselves on the ground. We condemn our leaders, but continuously in our institutions of higher learning, in our roads with police officers, in our homes, we practice corruption through and through. We claim to be religious people, but when it comes to issues of fact and reality, the lives of Kenyans involved, the cost of living, it seems our religious selves takes a backstage. We have seen cases of the government carrying sacks of money to churches, and nothing is said against this. What is our position in all this fight without involving the opposition, without involving the government, as we do round up that section?
Okay, let me begin by saying this, Richard, because you've pointed out about how our religious leaders have, they have taken sides in politics, which is not supposed to be the case, and then the gullibility of Wanjiku. It is funny to say, and I'm a Kenyan saying this, that we do not learn from our mistakes. And if we truly learn from our mistakes, then we could be seeing a different crop of leadership in the country. We keep on repeating the same mistakes and expecting to get different results. And you find that you've described that as a memory loss, which I agree with you 100%. The kind of forgetfulness that we have in the country, it is created in such a way, it favors a very few people in our society, and at the expense of the majority, the larger citizen. Because people and societies get the kind of leaders that they deserve. What we are getting today, the likes of Moses Kuria, the likes of Dennis Itumbi, these are the leaders that you deserve. It is not the first time that Moses Kuria is being convicted or is being accused of the derogatory remarks and the kind of abusive language that we do not expect from a leader. But what happened? When Ruto came into power, he gave him a CS. And then you have to ask ourselves one question as Kenyans. Some of these top people in the government, do they really merit the kind of seat that they have? Do they have the qualification? Do they deserve some of those seats? We have seen a whole CS in the country, and I'm not saying that academic success amount to doing well in life, but there is a connection between academics and leadership and delivering. A whole CS confessed to having gotten, I think it was an E, and I'm not condemning the people who get E, but why do you want to reward failures in government? Does it mean out of the 50 or so million Kenyans, we did not have people who are qualified to get some of these roles? Because once you fail in leadership, you fail in everything else. Now, coming back to religion, because you had mentioned something about religion. Religion is supposed to be a place where everyone comes without being seen as from this coalition or from this side of our politics. But in our country, as we speak today, we are seeing that religious leaders have a role to play and can be accused of the situation that we are in as a country. What was happening, remember, during towards the election, politicians were moving from one church to the other, giving millions of money, and then these leaders were whipping the masses to move or to vote in a certain direction. The same leaders, we are seeing them today pointing fingers to the government, telling the government that it's failing, and yet they are the ones who failed when it mattered most to give direction and to sanitize the kind of politics that we have in the country.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Thank you very much, Mwalimu. But if you can get to understand the state of the nation a bit more, get yourself a copy of the Daily Nation. Enough is enough. Page 17, a continued statement on that memo, and much more on page 4 and 5 on what the country's fate looks like in the hands of 5 men: President William Ruto, Raila Odinga, Interior CS, Intelligence Boss Haji, and Police Chief Japhet Koome. On the Standard, page 4 and 6, you read about the pressure which is mounting on former President Uhuru Kenyatta and accusations that he is part of the financiers of this protest. Whether that is true or not, it does not take away from the fact that, as Mwalimu keeps saying here, common Kenyan is suffering. It does not matter who has the moral or legal high ground at this point. It is important that we get to a discussion that is sober and that will lead to the protection of lives and businesses and property. Mwalimu, I have a surprise for you. Before I can maybe get your closing remarks.
Okay.
We do have a very small, game here that we do to break the to break that flow of events.
Yes.
So we'll mark it against each other. I know when Mwalimu, I can assure you, seen a leakage. But let's see how I fare against you, right? So we're going to be given a few questions there, and then run them against the timer, and then mark them against each other and see, right?
Okay.
How many 50 cents are in 1,000 shilling note? We have 10 seconds. How many 50 cents are in 1,000 shilling note? Okay. Next question. Who's the current CEO of Safaricom? Right. Apart from Bill Gates, who else founded Microsoft? What? Right. Question number 4. What does NHIF stand for? Which is the largest desert in Africa? Is it desert or desert? All right. Next question. When was KUTV established? Come on, guys. Oh, man. Putting my job on the spot here. If I get it wrong, Mwalimu, don't say. What is the exchange rate of $1 in Kenya? All right, next, how many zeros are in a billion? Just write the billion, right? All right, that's the end of our question session. Let's just exchange. Those are 8 questions. Mwalimu, time's up. Pens down.
I'm done.
All right, let's see. First question was how many 50 cents go in 1,000 shilling note? How many are they? 30,000. 2,000. All right. 2,000. Second question, CEO of Safaricom, that is Peter Ndegwa. Apart from Bill Gates, who else founded Microsoft? Who is it?
No idea.
Paul Allen. I thought that's Google. Oh, man, come on. All right. Question number 4. NHIF stands for National Health Insurance Fund. The largest
that is National Health Insurance Fund. There are scandals there. You can submit your memoranda to Parliament on questionable dealings at NHIF by Friday. So that's information for you. The largest desert in Africa should be the Sahara Desert. When was KUTV established? That should be 2015.
Oh, you beat me
Sir,
on that one.
my job is intact. How many zeros are in... Sorry, what is the exchange rate of a dollar in Kenya as of yesterday? 141? Oh, we both wrote 145.
Yeah, it should be.
So we have outdated information. Okay, 141. How many zeros are in a billion? Okay, amesema tunaweza pata hiyo ya 145. We are within the range, yeah? Okay, how many zeros are in a billion?
That is 9.
Mwalimu just wrote the billion. I wrote 9, so do you get it? Does he get it? Okay, yes. All right. Right, so he has 5. 5. Let's see if the student has become the teacher. I have 7 out of 8.
Sometimes the students beat the teacher. You have a 7.
I have a 7 out of 8. That's an A+. Asante sana mwalimu.
Thank you
for also even playing this game with us. If you're at home and you did it, please tell us what you got as a score for yourself. There's much more happening here that we could have spoken about. I know there was that issue of the teenage crisis as well. We were supposed to speak about the Finance Act, but you know, I'm seeing here 9:44 in the morning time. Is already not on our side. So if you want to get more of what has been developing in the papers this morning, get yourself a copy for 60 shillings for the physical copy, and I think 20 for the e-paper. Earlier, you'd also talked about external forces which are controlling the expenditure in the government. And here with the Business Daily that you have, if I can pull it up just real quick for my final remark before I get yours. You can read on page 14 of the markets in the Business Daily today where a US fund is going to build 5,000 of those affordable homes, you know, the housing levy that we keep speaking about, affordable homes. But it seems it's a US-owned South African asset manager that is going to develop these affordable houses in Kenya. The IFC is set to make an equity investment of 2 billion in this firm that is going to be constructing these affordable houses. How you interpret this is something I'd love to hear on our social channels. Mwalimu,
yes,
your final remark.
Okay, thank you once again, Richard, for this opportunity. And again, thank you to the KUTV fraternity for always giving us an opportunity as young people in this country to become a voice to the voiceless. As I conclude, I would like to mention something that has to do with the external influence in the government, because we have a regime that came in with saying that they will not borrow, you know, but today, as we speak, the government has borrowed more than 1.2 trillion. And where are these loans coming from? The loans are coming from the IMF and those Western powers. It can only indicate one thing, that this regime is being controlled from the outside, and the government has no choice but to bend. And you also saw the other day when the Supreme Court allowed the LGBTQ. That is a pointer that things are wrong in the country, and the president and the leaders are not themselves. Now, for the issue of loans, remember that these loans are quite expensive, and the people who are to service those loans are we, the ordinary citizens. And therefore we are pleading with the people out there to come out in large numbers on Wednesday or on Thursday and on Friday to put a stop to some of these things. Lastly, I would like to mention something about Kirinyaga County, because it is a county which is so dear to me as where I come from. You mentioned something, an initiative by the county government, and There are some areas within Kirinyaga, particularly in Kabare, which have been forgotten, and I would like to mention in specific the Mokarara market. It is a market which started a long time ago, but it has completely been neglected. And therefore, I'm urging the county government to come in and move in with speed and try to do a facelift and try to modernize the kiosks that are there, try to bring in some social amenities, the water, the toilets, and the lights.
All right.
Yes.
Thank you. We'd like to close up this newspaper review section at this point. Thank you very much for joining us on KUTV here with Mwalimu Kinywa Njuguna, who is hailing from Kirinyaga, as you've heard there at the very end, and giving us his view on the state of the nation and what has been happening so far and what we can expect in the coming few days. Let's take a look at the cartoons that have been there today so that we can wrap that up. Mwalimu, you can tell me your interpretation as they show it up on the screen, as they exit as out. Page 17 of the Daily Nation is where you get Ndula's very interesting piece there. You can see it on your screen.
Yes.
Azimio, OKENYE there with its matchbox head, and the Kenya Kwanza with its matchbox head.
Yes.
And it seems like a matchstick fight, but then the fuel, whose price is going up, is also highlighted there. What do you make what's your interpretation of this?
First of all, basically the matchstick, their purpose is to light fire. These matchstick, we can see they are being represented on both sides of the political divide. We have the Azimio and the Kenya Kwanza. And they are making an attempt. They have not yet lit the fire, but they are making an attempt. And definitely below there, the two matchsticks, you can see there is a fuel. There's a fuel container there.
A lot of fuel there.
And that means we are likely to explode as a country. I don't know whether it is like the submarine or the Titanic that we had an implosion. I don't know whether this country is going to have an implosion or an explosion.
But hopefully not.
But we still have enough time and opportunity to remedy, and we continue to urge our leaders, the topmost leaders, that is President Ruto and former Prime Minister, to get off their high horses and listen to what Kenyans are telling them. And they should not listen to what their cronies are telling them.
Right. Just maybe real quick, we show up Gado, and then we take that very quick break. Gado on the Standard. I'm told it's not Gado, it's Gamzo actually. Very interesting piece here is put up on the Standard, and it shows police officer beating down a normal Kenyan who's saying haki yetu, and on the right there is a police officer guarding a politician who's carrying loot. So there's the right to picket, but you're beaten up.
Yes.
Then there's the might to pocket,
Yes.
where you're guarded as you are doing that. Interpret it for yourself and let us know what your thoughts are. But asante sana Mwalimu for creating the time for us this morning.
Thank you so much. It's always a pleasure coming here at KUTV.
Okay.
Yes.
That's the cartoon there. Let's take the break as you take a look at it, and then I'll be back with your feedback and closing up the show.
Kenyatta University will hold its 53rd graduation ceremony on Friday, 21st July 2023 at the main campus along Thika Superhighway. KUTV will provide live coverage of the graduation ceremony from 8 a.m. The graduation ceremony will also be streamed live on KUTV, KU website, Lola app, and all KU social media platforms. For more information, please contact the Office of the Registrar Academic on 020-870-3092 or 0786-335-111 or visit the KU website on www.ku.edu.ke. Kenyatta University, transforming higher education, enhancing lives.
We are all seeing the impacts of climate change. In Kenya, for example, the floods, the frequency of the floods is becoming more and worse. The amount of people and livestock we're losing.
The level we need to go is the level where the normal mwananchi and also the government stakeholders can uptake the solutions.
Those small acts multiplied by millions of us will help make a difference in the world at the end of the day.
It's just a slight behavior change that we need, and you find that it serves us a bit more than you put in, and that's the goal. We want to live a better world than we found, because at the rate we are going, it's dire.
We will secure the planet for future generations.
Okay, thank you for keeping it here on Biashara Tuesday. So far, Tash Mitambo on Twitter is saying very nice. So thank you for tuning in there, Tash Mitambo. Also, Jesse Leslie, who's been watching the show. I see here Jaco Juang all the way from Turkey. Thank you for creating time as always and checking out the show. Atsi Ateta, watching from the University of Nairobi. Anasema tunateseka bwana. So that is his statement as of this morning. Steve Kioko, also watching from Kisii. Asante sana for tuning in all the way from the area of Kisii County. Say hi to my people. So proud of this show. Susan Obobo, thank you for tuning in. Fishware, streaming from Nairobi, Kenya. Always ready for Tuesday for this amazing show. Big up Engineer Okenye. Asante sana Fishware for that remark. Let me just close it up with, we are expecting protests from tomorrow all the way through to Friday. So there's tension on both sides, the government and the opposition. On page 17 of the Daily Nation, since we came from the newspaper review, I'm going to close it up with this opinion piece and the last bit of it. You can read the rest of what Macharia Gaido has to say here on page 17. The headline is, neither the protesters nor the state agencies should turn to violence. In that regard, Mr. Odinga should and must give careful thought to the consequences of his campaign. Ultimately, however, it is the government that is charged with the maintenance of law and order. Should the protest happen, it is the duty of the government to act firmly and decisively against those who may turn violent. There must not again be a room for tear gas, batons, and bullets aimed at those simply exercising their constitutional right. The police must also act firmly against criminal elements who may be deployed to disrupt the protest. So as you prepare yourself for anti-government protests, you're provided the right by the Constitution on Article 37 to picket, to demonstrate, and to raise your issues with the government. However, do so peacefully and be in consideration of those others who might want to do their day-to-day activities as they have been before these demonstrations. And I call out to the government, protect your people. It is your mandate, whether you like them or you don't. You have been given the power to see and to oversee the sovereignty of the people, but also to protect them in between their activities, be it protest, be it any other thing that they may do just within the Republic. Thank you very much for watching Biashara Tuesday. And if you're not already rich, remember, there's always tomorrow. My name is Richard Okenye. I will see you around.
Kind of good vibe, I can feel it in my soul. Driving around Nairobi like a boss.